important than that is how it is said. And the way you say, the tone you say, the authority or the softness or, the understandability, that's what distinguishes normal people from, certain leaders.
Hello and welcome to the Honest Talk by Freak Folks. I'm Harsh Pandey. For this particular session, our guest will be Miss Anisha Yeshwant ma'am, who is here with us. She's a trailblazer in being a corporate leader and a luxury lifestyle entrepreneur, enabling and encouraging sustainable and environmental friendly lifestyle choices and individualistic representation. She had worked with distinguished stalwarts from the business, finance, and tech sector. She has worked in tandem with many social work organizations related to climate protection and children education. So, first of all, ma'am, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much, Harsh, and for making me a part of your very esteemed show.
Ma'am, it's our pleasure too. So, actually, moving to the topic of today's session, as you have mentioned that the importance of self-presentation, we all know that you only get one chance to make a first impression. Most of us are probably also aware that it takes quite a long time to undo that first impression, and if it is negative, we may never get a chance to do so. So, ma'am, it's a kind of request you kindly explain our viewers the importance of self-presentation.
All right. Did you know that usually when you are in any kind of social interaction or an event, etc., you people lead by something. And mostly we have noticed that in case of an interview, people lead with their academic resume, etc., or their prowess. Or in case of you have a social event where people lead by the networks, etc. But we have rarely seen that the most valuable asset of oneself, which is their own persona or personality or even the presence. Many people do not lead with that, and I do believe that that is the one of the most important asset that you have, that you can probably present in front of the world to make a great impression, and not only that, to sustain it, right? And now you would ask that why is it important? Whatever is currently working is perfectly fine. We are making an impression, and it's possible. But what happens in this case, that if you do not present your actual self, that the self that you want to have people to see it, the best of your abilities, if you do want people to see that part of it, what happens is that in case you present yourself, you make an effort to present yourself well, then you can, and not others, would control the narrative of how your image or how a perspective of you is presented in the world. So when you yourself are in charge of the narrative rather than somebody else controlling your image, it will always be beneficial for you in that aspect, that people can see the best version of you, right? And I have seen in my own life that numerous instances of people who have preceded their reputation. Just giving an example, I remember this incident where in a big multinational firm, there we have where in one of the major financial bank institution. So we were having a meeting about, there were who's a who of the bank were present, and we were having a meeting and everybody was present at their point. And there was a little bit of chaos because everybody had to speak their point, and uh, there was a healthy discussion happening. And suddenly there was this person who just entered the room, and without even uttering a word, you could see that the whole aura, the vibe of the room had changed because of just their presence. Not only their presence, because of how their reputation of being somebody of clarity, of being somebody who is very suave and dynamic and knows how to make decisions well, only by their own self-presentation and prowess have just come into the room and changed the vibe of the room. And he just said something and people heard it. uh, then that is the power of self-presentation. Now, first impression is a very umbrella term, if you ask me. So it is not just one thing. So if I had to divide self-presentation, it would be into, two, three categories. One would be non-verbal. Non-verbal in the sense how you dress yourself, your stance, your posture. What looks good on you. What instills confidence in a person. You dress well, you dress to the occasion, you dress to the position that you have. You present yourself, and that would instill a certain level of confidence in that other person. Then you have verbal, the way people speak, the way people put across a point. Our tonality is very important in this situation. It is also as they say, that what is said, and more important than that is how it is said, and the way you say, with the tone you say, the authority or the softness, or the understandability. That's what distinguishes normal people from certain leaders. So that's the verbal aspect. And I think third would be what principles, values, or what do you stand as a person. When somebody knows that you are somebody of an authoritarian, you're disciplined, you're sensible, you have achieved success on your own merit. So that counts for something. So an amalgamation of all these points would be your self-presentation. So once, and if you know yourself very well, you are able to put this across for yourself and use it in any situation. You're never unprepared for somebody to have a wrong first impression of you. I understand a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on first impression. Agreed that you can over the time change it, but like you said, you can never get another chance to make a best first impression. And this is how you prepare for it, and always put your best foot forward in any situation and represent yourself well, rather than somebody else presenting maybe a not so glorified version of you.
Indeed, ma'am, you have told many important points. You have told the importance of first impression. You have told the several different areas that requires look when you want to improve your presentational skills. Ma'am, my next question to you is, or actually it's a kind of request to you, ma'am, kindly explain our viewers how actually your personal appearance is closely related to the body language, gestures, and other non-verbal messages that you use.
Sorry, could you repeat the question? I didn't hear you.
Sure. I'm repeating my question. Please put some light how actually one's personal appearance is closely related to the body language, gestures,
Okay.
non-verbal messages that one use.
Right. Okay. So, first of all, it is very important to be self-aware. When I say self-aware, one should be aware that what works well for them. One thing doesn't fit it all. Just for an example, now, for example, there are certain colors that work well for some people, and you will see that if in case they are of maybe maybe wear something else, they would not look as good. So you should know what looks well. How you presented would instill certain kind of impact on somebody else. One would be that. Second would be like I said, in all terms, and this is not only in personal, but it works very well with personal. Now, I would, probably this is a real good piece of advice that I would say across, that when you consider your personality or, your overall personal even attire, you think of a keyword for yourself, right? Now, for example, me, I would you don't have to tell it to the world, but you consider a keyword for yourself. So now, if I for me example, I would think of a word to describe, or for my persona would be classy. Okay, so what happens is, anytime you take any decision, whether in regards to your wardrobe, your attire, or any kind of personal choices that you make, you think that how close it is it to your keyword. So I will see if how what I wear, etc., or my personal appearance is close to my keyword, that is classy. If it is not and it's very deviated, I might make a different choice. So this is one very good example of how it works in terms of what do you say, like personal appearances, etc. um right. And if I would also, just extending it a bit, I would also say that what happens with the personal attire is that a lot of people are not aware of the fact that your personal attire, or the way you dress, can also show some intrinsic values in you. Do you know why that if you have ever noticed, in all these like organizations and if armed forces, etc., or private schools, why do they insist on uniform? There is a uniform, right? You have people wearing uniform. So why is that uniform? Because that uniform projects discipline. That uniform projects unity. Everybody, it makes everybody in the same. So that is the power of personal attire. So in case you want to show any intrinsic value, it's also be possible to show it through your appearances. It's not necessary that via everything has to be only via uh, other factors. So we underestimate personal appearances, but personal appearances, more than also making you look good, more than making you look dynamic, also can make you imbibe or inculcate some values that can be shown to the world.
Indeed, ma'am. Again, it was a very wonderful answer. You have told the importance of discipline. You have told how actually, whatever you're thinking, how actually, when you decide a keyword for you, how actually it enables to you to move towards that direction. Ma'am, my next question to you is, or rather say, we all know that we are passing through a very unprecedented, challenging time. And in this time, what we have seen is that it has, at times, this is a time which actually created a kind of digital revolution in itself. Everything is moving toward digitalization. So now, if
Right.
we talk about self-presentation, now it is not only limited to physical presence. We also have to take care of our kind of digital presence. If we talk about the kind of LinkedIn profile, we can talk about digital CV. Ma'am, my next question to you is, or it's a kind of request to you, ma'am, please put some light on the presentation of self in this digital era.
Right. Okay. So I know that now digital presence plays a very important role in promoting and progressing, promoting your self image, if you say, in a particular way. Now I do know that there are a lot of influencers that is their job to present certain way, influence people for a certain product or a particular type of lifestyle, etc., right? But here, when we talk in the maybe in the corporate arena, if we talk about the digital imprint, it is very important that you maintain certain kind of decorum, when it comes to digital this, people are very reckless sometimes, and they think that, it is not related to a professional aspect, or it is very far away from whatever we do, in a professional arena. Whatever we do, this is very different, so why do we bother about it? But that's not a correct approach, because this it's the whole world is a melting pot. Everything is connected. There is, you call the 6 degrees of separation, which is that every person is connected or knows about, and everything is out there to see. So in case of any kind of very vocal radical opinion, or some posts, or some statement, or in form of a verbal statement, a written statement, or a representational statement that one makes out there, it has a very collateral effect on your persona or image. It just takes a split second for people to, maybe make their opinion about you without even knowing you. There are people who know us for such a long time, but these people out there, maybe they are acquaintances who must have hardly met you, or people on your professional, peripheral. They also might see this, and probably form an image of yourself, which not may not be exactly true, and may land you in hot water. So it is very important to be conscious of what you put out there in this. Also, this is one thing that I'm talking about, the negative part. Now, if we come to the positive part of it, you can use social media, or you can use digital platform to also elevate your status, to make, you have a platform like LinkedIn, where you can probably network well, you can project yourself in a certain way, etc. So it is very important that, in case the again, it comes back to how much of a self presentation preparation you have done for yourself. So you can accordingly make a path for yourself in that manner, and use digital platforms to your advantage. Now, also one more thing I would just like to say, that people put a lot of emphasis on how the way they speak English. I myself am an Anglophile, and I do like to enjoy speaking in English and also in Hindi. I would just say that sometimes, the language that you are most comfortable in, it's always best to emote or present yourself in that language. You rather than using a language as English, which you might not be very proficient in, and might not be able to say what you intend to say properly. So it's there is no stigma attached to not being able to converse well in a certain language. It's rather good that you can, unless until the point that the other person and you are able to communicate rather well, it's good to be proficient, and emote yourself in a language that you're most comfortable in. Also, very important in a corporate sector, since this is an extension of digital, I would just say that when you are representing yourself in an email or any kind of professional correspondence, make sure to it that you don't leave room for too much error. You present your points correctly, because a lot of things are lost in transition and translation. So it is very important that you make your point accurately.
Indeed, ma'am, you have told again many important points, and the point which you have told about the language, this is something we all know, but very rare people actually are there to speak about it. And I actually like that you have spoken about it, that because English, we have seen that English has become a class kind of thing. People believe that if somebody speaks English, then he is a better person to people judge on the basis of that. But we will surely cover this in our one of our separate session. So, ma'am, moving to my next question, our daily life, what we have seen, our daily life has been digitalized and dragged and tied up in matrices. Our real selves have split into online avatars and profile picture and status updates. A virtual life is sunny and bright. It's where you post your prettiest picture and tell all the best your news. But is it real? Most importantly, is it healthy?
Um, right. Is it real? No, because we all know to some aspect that how narcissistic, for the lack of a better word, social media presence is. A realistic is a very subjective word in social, in the virtual field, and justifiably so, everybody wants to show that they are having the best life ever, they're putting forth the best foot, and they want everybody to see that how happy they are, how good looking everyone is, how successful everyone is. So I would peg it for human tendency, that people are not wrong in wanting to feel so. Yes, but I agree that sometimes it goes it goes beyond a point. It goes to an extreme where people stop differentiating between what is virtual and what is real. They start believing that their virtual persona is somewhat real, and they start uh, you know falling into the pitfalls of you know always being better than the Joneses, and that also costs people a lot. So just digressing a bit, I think many people might be knowing of this very famous British TV series called Black Mirror. And so Black Mirror, usually, so I was watching an episode of it where a person uh, in the in the process, or wanting to have a such a squeaky clean and picture perfect virtual life, completely loses track of reality, and just goes down the rabbit hole, and in the process loses their real friends, whatever is good is happening in their actual life. So this is a life lesson for all of us, that maybe when we it's good to indulge ourselves a little bit into the virtual reality world. It is good as a fun, it boosts up a bit. Use it as a power boost. Use it as, like, there are people who find you you find your miscongeniality, people find you nice, you're popular, etc. But let it not go to your head. Always have a sense of reality, because that is where you are in real life. So it's always good to indulge in a little bit and use it a little bit to your advantage, but don't go that far away, into the horizon, that when you look back you can't see reality, and your virtual and your real is merged, and it's not a good it's never good in real life for that scenario to happen.
Indeed, ma'am. You have again, it was a quite insightful answer from your side, ma'am. I can say there's a lot more to learn from you, but today I don't want to take too much of your time. So, moving to my last question of this session, or it's a kind of
Correct.
request to you, ma'am. At last, what are the tips you would like to give to all of those watching this session? How they can improve their self-presentation skills? What can be the ways to enhance their self-presentation skills? What are the ways how they can learn about this?
Okay, so somewhat I have explained in the earlier section what are the types of where you can divide your present self-presentation arena, and then bring it all together. But just I would like to say one last point before going. So that is, just it is self-presentation, how you portray is akin to being a leader. What happens is, most leaders, what happens is, after some point they start doing things only so that they know that people will follow them because of that. So if you are doing self-present well, then be real and live your truth, and present what is actually believable and real to you, and where you want to go. So don't just present yourself only what the world wants to see, or you think that that will appease to people. Live your truth, and make your, keep your individuality shining. And that is the most important thing. In understand your intrinsic self. Once you do that, you will realize that what exactly, how you can present yourself the best, and how it would work for you. Other than that, of course, I've already told you how you can bring out the best variations in yourself in a non-verbal, verbal, and your value format. So,
Indeed, ma'am. Again, it was a very wonderful advice from you, Shad, and I'm sure the viewers who are watching, they are surely going to take this. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining in your important time. We look forward to conduct.
thank you very much. Definitely. Thank you very much, Harsh. And you are doing a splendid job here on your show.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very
On
much.
the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside.